I don't know if it's going to go
Who
live.
cares? Oh my gosh.
Let's get ready for Monday Mortgage Minute with your hosts, Tom McNamara and Bruce Woodburn.
Yeah.
Hey, Bruce.
There we go.
We are live. We are live too.
We are live in the studio.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So hey, we had a good conversation set up for today.
Yes, we do. But first things first. Do you want to do NAR settlement first then?
I could talk about NAR settlement first.
All right,
I thought we were going to talk about
settlement.
Hometown Heroes first.
Okay, Hometown Heroes, because I think this is a call to action. Anybody out there seeking to use down payment assistance, Hometown Heroes, you better do it, and you better do it now. You've got $9 million left. That means we went through $5 million, actually $6 million in 1 week. So you probably have till the end of this week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, and you better be in contract, and that money better be secured, or you ain't getting it. And there's no word whatsoever that this money's going to come back anytime soon. It could be at least a year. So
it probably will be. Yeah.
So if you don't do something now, forget about it.
Yeah. And, so for anybody that doesn't know, Hometown Heroes is a down payment assistance program with the state of Florida, and it'll give you up to 5% of the loan amount towards your down payment. And up to 35, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I've closed a few. I'm getting ready to make an offer on another one right now. And, it really helps buyers. And the cool thing is it's unlike most down payment assistance programs. You can actually make a lot of money. You can make up to what, 133 or something like that?
$132,000. You got to have a 640 credit score.
Yep.
It's got to be a primary residence. You have to be a first-time home buyer. Even that is relatively liberal, because listen to this one. I got a buyer right now getting Hometown Heroes. I got him all registered. We're good to go. He's fully pre-qualified. I find out last week that he's on deed to a mobile home for his dad.
Wow.
Okay. I'm like, man, you told me you didn't own any other properties. Like, I forgot. I'm like, what do you mean you forgot?
Well,
you own a property. You forgot you own a property? Listen, anybody out there that wants to deed a property in my name, you go right ahead. I promise you I won't forget you, okay? I promise you I will not forget you. You go ahead and deed all the properties to me that you can. So here's the thing. Fortunately, I saved his butt because he hasn't occupied it. So if it was regular down payment assistance, Pinellas, Brevard, Orange, City of Orlando, any of those, no deal. If you're on deed to your grandmother's lot in Spain, you don't get it. You're on deed to a property. So fortunately, we were able to skin out of that one, but it was a close call.
All right.
So
very good.
My point is, be upfront with the loan officer. It's only going to come back and hurt you. 64% of mortgage transactions, people buying a home or refinancing, 64% do not close or close on time. That is a ridiculous number. That tells me that my industry, the industry that I represent, is not being represented very well. And that means that the people that are, and believe me, that ain't happening in my shop. I write a pre-approval letter. We're going to closing, right? Don't surprise me. But things like that only hurt the consumer. They only hurt them. They go into contract. Now they got the moving van packed. They've already sold their other house, or they've moved out of their rental property. And now they're like, I hope the lender doesn't find out I own a mobile home with my dad. These are the kind of things that are going to put you in peril. I already own a home. I'm not getting kicked out of mine. It's you that I'm trying to get into. So be upfront, be forthright. Tell me everything. Even if I don't ask, say, hey, Bruce, is it important that I tell you this? Yes, it's important to tell me. And then sometimes I'm like, don't tell me that. I don't want to know that.
All right. Well, speaking of not wanting to know things, so the NAR settlement. So I don't know if everybody knows that that there was a big settlement. The National Association of Realtors was sued along with a lot of brokerages, and we settled it out. And basically what the headline, right, that everybody writes is 6% commission is no more. And, that's true. Of course, it
Never was.
Well, it never really was, right? It was always negotiable, but there was an air that was kind of standard, and anything less was a discount. So anyway,
I still think that's the case.
It is for sure. So here's the thing: is what I found. Obviously, it's only been one weekend since it's fully enacted, right? We cannot work the way we were working before any longer. So what I've learned is a couple of things. One is, most people wanting to sell their house. I've talked to a lot of people in the last week looking to sell a house. They say, I've heard about it. They ask for clarification. We have a conversation. At the end of the day, my conversation is slightly different than it used to be. Now it's, you're going to pay me a listing percentage, and that's going to be X, 2.5, 3, 3.5, whatever it's going to be. That's for me. Now, if you want to offer the buyer's agent some compensation, you're more than welcome to. As a matter of fact, I recommend you do. And here's why: because you're going to get more people looking at your house, and they're not going to have to come out of pocket to pay their buyer's agent. So they're going to have more money to put down and afford your home.
Now, you will adjust the price accordingly.
Absolutely.
So the seller's not paying additional money.
Correct.
You're going to adjust the sales price accordingly. Sounds kind of like it used to be.
It is. So I think, at the end of the day, I think you're going to have a couple of things happen. One is, you're going to have there's going to be a bunch of sellers that are going to be absolute, no, there's no way I'm paying. And we all know that what's probably going to end up happening to most of them is they're going to sit on the market a little longer, then they're going to get flexible, and then they're going to pay something. Just like they do when they say, I'm not putting a new roof on, there's no way in heck. And the first offer comes through and they need a new roof. And so they put a new roof on, right? And so, it happens, right? So I think we're going to be okay. The big thing that a lot of people don't realize is, as a buyer, you now have to, in order for an agent to be able to show you a home, you have to have a buyer's broker agreement with the agent.
Let's talk about that. I'm a buyer and I come to you and I want to buy a house.
Correct.
Now, let's say I'm a first-time home buyer, or I just don't have a lot of money. And I'm looking for a $400,000 house, and I'm really trying to just do, 5% down, 3% down. And I'm scraping to come up with my 3% down. Okay. Yeah. So I need my 3% down. Let's just say that we're looking at $15,000 for my down payment, right? But then you say, well, I know I'm going to get you over with Bruce. He's going to get you pre-approved. And then your closing costs are going to be another $6,000, and your escrows are going to be $6,000. So you need another 12. So you had 15 in down payment. Now you need another 12. Okay.
Yep.
So now we're at $27,000, but they look at you and they go, I ain't got 27. I can come up with 15. I might be able to come up with 18 or 20, but then you spring it on them that, oh, by the way, you have to now pay a buyer's agent commission, and 3% of $400,000 purchase price.
Another 12 grand.
Is another 12 grand, right?
That's right.
So now we went from 27. Now we're up to 38.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they only have 18. Right. What do we do? Where do we go now? This is a common situation. This is one of the ones that I'm dealing with exactly right now, And so, we had the conversation right up front about, my fee, and the fact that 95% of the time I'm going to be able to get the seller to pay that fee directly, or to give them a credit in order for them to be able to pay the fee. And that most of the time, again, right now in this current market, most sellers are flexible in that they're paying some closing costs. Well, if you want to sell a product, you better try to attract buyers. Why do you want to sell a product and then push buyers away? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Now, I'm going to tell you, this is something that I predict is going to happen to a greater degree than it does today, or did before, is when a buyer hears that, they're going to step back and they're going to decide to go straight to the listing agent, right? Because they're going to be like, well, the listing agent's not going to charge me. And that may be true, but it also may be false.
Oh,
Because
I think it's going to be primarily false.
I think it's going to be primarily false as well. Because here's the thing is, as a listing agent, and I know I'm treating my listings this way, when I have a listing, I have a fiduciary duty to that seller. My job is to get that seller the most money.
Exactly.
So while yes, I want to sell it, I need to get them the most money. So I'm not going to negotiate the hardest that I can. And that buyer can't tell me anything they don't want the seller to know.
Exactly. That's like you being up against a criminal charge and you're asking the prosecutor for advice.
Correct. It's horrible, right? Now, look, if you've bought 30 homes, and you're just a freaking expert and you know what you're doing, sure, you're probably going to be okay, right?
Maybe.
Tell the listing agent what you want to do. Yeah, that's fine.
So I have been interviewing multiple mega producing listing agents.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I have not had one that said they're all encouraging their sellers to pay.
Absolutely. I'm encouraging my sellers to pay that. And by the way, in my listing agreement, while we can no longer have the buyer broker's agent fee in the listing agreement, that we're no longer allowed to have that as a demand, we can have it for unrepresented buyer. Well, an unrepresented buyer is a buyer that approaches the listing agent directly and doesn't sign an agreement with that listing agent. So if somebody came to me with an offer all filled out and ready to go and handed it to me, I'm going to get more from the seller anyway.
Sure you are.
You might as well use an agent and let them negotiate for you.
So getting back to my scenario where I'm trying to get in for 5% down, I don't have the money to pay my closing costs, and I definitely don't have the money to pay the buyer's agent.
Yep.
So let's just walk everybody through it. Let's just say that buyer's agent commission was $12,000. So they're going to sign a letter that I agree that you're going to represent me as my buyer's agent, and I will pay you $12,000.
Right.
But they don't have it.
Right.
So you have to overcome that issue that we have, because now you're going to say, that is right, Bruce. We're going to only look at houses, and I'm going to negotiate that the seller actually pays that on your behalf.
That is 100% correct. I'm going to have to do that.
I already know you don't have it, and you could not close on a house that I couldn't negotiate it with the seller, because you don't have it to pay me, and you don't have it to pay the seller.
So it will be part of our offer. It'll be integrated into our offer that the seller is going to pay me whatever commission it is. Now, if you found the perfect house, Bruce, that was just absolutely fantastic, and all the seller was willing to do was 2.5% or even 2%, I'd probably take it because I want you to get into the house, right? I'm not going to make you come up with the difference.
No, of course you would. Now, if it was 1%, you might. Okay,
if 1%, it might be a slightly different story. That's correct.
It might be a slightly different story. So, but then the buyer has all the options. They've got all the numbers laid on the table before they sign anything. So they already know what the bottom line is going to look like. And here's the thing. The seller can pay that. The buyer can pay it. But regardless, it's not included in the interested party contributions. So
right.
Fannie, Freddie, and HUD have all agreed that if the seller does pay that on behalf of the buyer to the buyer's agent, it won't be considered in their limited amount of concessions.
So everybody knows that's the amount. So every different loan type has an amount that the seller can contribute to closing costs for the buyer, and there's a cap. Sometimes it's, I think the lowest is 3%.
Write this down, all of you that are listening to this. If it's a conventional loan, and you're putting down less than 10%, that's 9.99% or less, the maximum a seller can pay is 3%. If you're putting down more than 10% or 10% or more, it's 6%. If you're FHA, it's 6%. If you're VA, it's 4%, but it's a trick because it's not really 4%. It's 4% plus traditional cost from a seller. So you can really go up to 6% even on a VA loan.
Gotcha.
Now, the caveat is if you're an investor, it's non-owner occupied, not a rent, not a second home, but non-owner occupied. only conventional loans anyway, and you are relegated to a 2% contribution, period.
Now you missed one. You missed one. With conventional over 20%, you can get 9%, although nobody's ever going to.
You know what? I absolutely intentionally skipped over that because people that are putting down 30% don't need 9% in closing costs. And you're not going to, I couldn't buy you enough points to equal 9% anyway. So it wouldn't matter. It's one of those numbers that exist that you could never use.
There you go. There you go. All right, so that's it, man. So Hometown Heroes, less than 10% of the money's left. We're going to run out in a week to 10
less
days.
Less than 9 million.
9%. Yeah, there you go. And the NAR settlement, so far, it's a big nothing burger. Some rules are going to change. Some things are going to change, but people are still going to buy houses.
Interest rates are down. We're down 0.75 of a point in the last 4 weeks, man.
What?
You look at that. Rates are down. I'm locking high credit score borrowers in the 5s right now. So listen, if you are a high credit score buyer, you can absolutely get in the 5s. If you're getting a conventional or FHA or VA, definitely. VA refinances. If you are a veteran and you want to refinance and you got a 7% interest rate, you call me right away. We've got the program for you.
Awesome. Fantastic. Bruce, we went a little bit over. This was a really good talk, and we went live early today, so I will we'll go ahead and shut this down and probably rebroadcast it at 7 tonight.
Tom and I work in all 50 states. We'll help you anywhere. Even if you're not using our services, we're here to guide you in the right direction. Peace out.